I never thought I would become the villain in my own sister's story. From the outside, we were always inseparable. Two girls who shared a childhood filled with secrets, midnight whispers, and promises that we'd always protect each other no matter what. But nothing could have prepared me for the day I discovered that my little sister, Emma, had been living in a cage built not of iron bars, but of bruises, threats, and a love that turned poisonous. I noticed the first signs 2 years into her marriage with Daniel. She had become quieter, her once bright laughter now carefully measured, as though every word had to pass through a filter of fear before leaving her lips. I brushed it off at first. Marriage changes people, I told myself. But then I saw the faint purple mark on her wrist one Sunday afternoon when she was helping me in the kitchen. She pulled her sleeve down so fast it was as if my glance alone burned her skin. My stomach twisted, but I didn't press her. That night, though, I lay awake thinking of every odd behavior, every time she had flinched when someone raised their voice, every time she made excuses for why she couldn't stay over at my place anymore. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I confronted her gently the next morning, and at first, she denied everything, swore Daniel was just stressed with work. But when I told her I wasn't leaving her apartment until she told me the truth, her composure cracked. She broke down in my arms, sobbing so hard her entire body shook. That's when she confessed. Daniel had been controlling her from the very beginning, first through subtle comments about what she wore, then through financial restrictions, and finally through fists and threats that made her afraid for her life. I felt rage boiling in my veins, but also a cold kind of terror. My sister was trapped, and I knew that if I didn't act soon, one day the call might come too late. I promised her then and there that I would help her get out, no matter what it took. For the first time in months, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. I began planning in secret, like some kind of amateur strategist in a war I hadn't chosen but couldn't walk away from. I contacted a lawyer friend, researched shelters, and even began setting aside money in case she needed to start from scratch. Each time Daniel left town for work, I visited her, and together we whispered plans like fugitives. She was scared but determined, or so I thought. The night of the escape came sooner than I expected. She had called me, her voice barely audible, telling me Daniel had thrown a glass at her that shattered against the wall inches from her face. Her fear was tangible, shaking through the phone line, and I knew we couldn't wait any longer. I drove over with my heart pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears, stuffed a few of her things into bags, and led her to my car. She kept looking over her shoulder, as though Daniel might appear out of the shadows at any second. For a moment, I thought we had done it. She sat in my car, clutching the bags, staring out at the road ahead with a strange mix of fear and relief. I reassured her, told her she was safe now, told her we'd go to the shelter, and she'd start a new life. But when I stopped at a gas station to grab her some water, everything unraveled. I came back to find her gone. Panic surged through me as I searched frantically, calling her name in the dark. Then I saw her across the lot, standing next to Daniel's car. He was there, his face twisted with anger, and she was handing him the bags we had just packed. My heart dropped into my stomach. She caught my eyes for a fleeting second, and in that moment, I saw the terror, but also something else. Loyalty, dependency, maybe even love. Before I could run to her, Daniel grabbed her arm and shoved her into the car. She didn't fight. She didn't scream. She chose him. The betrayal hit harder than any blow could have. I stood there, rooted to the ground, my chest aching as their car disappeared into the night. All my planning, all my sleepless nights, all my desperate love, it meant nothing. To her, I was no savior, no sister. I was an intruder in the twisted world she had accepted as her own. For days I couldn't eat. I replayed that moment over and over in my head, wondering if I had done something wrong, if maybe I had pushed too hard or not hard enough. When I tried to call her, Daniel answered instead. His voice was sharp, dripping with venom, as he told me never to contact his wife again. My hands shook as I hung up, realizing the walls had closed in tighter around her than ever before. Weeks passed, and Emma finally returned my calls, but she was different. Colder. She accused me of meddling, of trying to ruin her marriage. She said Daniel had told her I was jealous, that I wanted to control her life. I couldn't believe the words coming from her mouth. This was the same girl who had once sworn we'd always be each other's safe place, now turning on me as though I were the enemy. It was like Daniel had poisoned her against me, rewriting every memory we had ever shared. Each conversation we had ended in shouting or tears, until eventually she stopped answering altogether. My sister, my best friend, had become unreachable. Not because I didn't try hard enough, but because she chose to stay in the very prison I had risked everything to free her from. Now, 2 years later, I still wonder if I made the right choices. I still wonder if I should have dragged her out that night by force, even if she begged to stay. I still see her face in my dreams, sometimes begging me to save her, sometimes accusing me of betrayal. The guilt is a constant companion, whispering that maybe I failed her. Maybe I didn't love her enough to break through the chains Daniel wrapped around her soul. But deep down, I know the truth. You can't save someone who isn't ready to be saved. And yet, that knowledge doesn't quiet the ache in my chest, because every time the phone rings, I still hope it's her. Every time I hear about a woman found in a hospital bed, or worse, I feel a surge of terror until I confirm it isn't Emma. My life has become a waiting game, waiting for her to call, waiting for her to choose herself, waiting for a chance to be her sister again. And the cruelest part, I do it all over again. Even knowing she turned on me, even knowing she shut me out, I would still risk everything to try to save her. Because that's what love is, isn't it? Messy, painful, unconditional. The kind that keeps you awake at night, replaying every word, every choice, every goodbye. The kind that destroys you, but still makes you hope against all odds that one day, the person you love will finally walk through the door and say, I'm ready. Until then, I carry the weight of her silence, the ghost of her trust, and the memory of the sister I once had. The sister I may never see again.